extraordinary variety of plants and animals on Earth make our planet unique. In its harmony and balance, the spectacle of nature is born of an age-old evolution that has endured almost as long as the Earth itself. To date, scientists have discovered nearly 2 million species. But this represents only 15% of life on Earth. Huge swaths of this planet's biodiversity are completely unknown, especially in our forests and oceans. Biodiversity produces oxygen, provides food for plants and animals, and helps to purify the soil and water. Our forests and oceans play an essential role in regulating climate, allowing billions of organisms to celebrate life on Earth. But this fragile balance is threatened.
Our lives depend on biological diversity. Species and ecosystems are disappearing at an unsustainable rate. We humans are the cause. We stand to lose a wide variety of environmental goods and services that we take for granted.
Researchers believe that the Earth is undergoing one of the most significant mass extinction events in its history, caused by our civilization. Our expansion is affecting the ecosystems of all other species.
We are changing our world, and species are disappearing.
As humans, we can have a drastic effect on this planet. We can't just do things and not think about the long-term consequences.
It's a serious issue. We need to change minds and change attitudes towards nature.
Human impact on biodiversity has greatly increased since the start of the Industrial Revolution during the 18th century. Massive technological and economic development have driven the expansion of our civilization across the planet. The Earth's population has grown from 700 million to 7 billion in less than 300 years. Worldwide, humanity has become a phenomenal force. Greenhouse gas levels have not been this high for over 1 million years. We have stripped large predators of their territories by confining them to reserves or by destroying the world's large forests. All over the Earth, plants and animals are increasingly struggling to coexist with humanity. Every day, nearly 130 species go extinct, probably one of the highest rates of extinction the Earth has ever seen. For several years, the oceanographic schooner Sedna 4 has been sailing the world's oceans. After expeditions in the Arctic and Antarctic, its crew has now embarked on a 3-year voyage around the world. During their mission, 1,000 days for the planet, they will meet with scientists who have dedicated their lives to protecting biodiversity. Mission leader, Jean Lemire.
We set sail for Central America, a region with one of the highest diversity of species in the world. The preservation of habitats here is vital to the survival of thousands of species of fish, reptiles, and mammals. Here, the many shapes and bright colors of biodiversity stimulate our desire to protect them even more.
In Costa Rica, the team sets off in search of one of the last big cats of the Americas. These top predators in the food chain help control populations in their ecosystems. Scientists call the jaguar an umbrella species. By protecting it, the balance among all the other species that share its habitat is also protected. Unfortunately, the jaguar is threatened. Humans hunt its prey, and farms, ranches, and ever-expanding urbanization are fragmenting its territory. In less than a century, the jaguar's habitat has been cut in half. Today, it is confined to pockets of land that are becoming smaller and smaller. Maintaining connections among these pockets of land is essential to the genetic health of the species, because jaguars are part of a single extended family that stretches from Mexico to Argentina.
You going to mug me?
I'm not gonna mug you.
Is that gorgeous or what, eh?
And I believe I can run a decent marathon.
Thank you very much.
Download Veely now.
In eastern Costa Rica, a reserve has been created to protect one of the jaguar's habitats. This is a private reserve that regularly attracts scientists such as biologist Jose Gonzalez and Jan Schipper. They have dedicated their lives to protecting these big cats.
Nice spot.
Yeah. Oh, look at there, look at there.
Oh, yeah.
Those are jaguar marks.
Wow, even there.
All the way up.
So that's a good spot for jaguar.
This is a perfect spot. Yeah. This is the place we're shooting.
A jaguar has marked its territory by scratching a tree.
Get sunlight direct to it, and then lock.
Installing a motion sensing camera will record the passage of jaguars and photo ID them. Using photographs over several years, researchers have shown that the reserve is frequented by about 14 jaguars. And videos highlight the problem of jaguars coexisting with local farmers.
Oh, look at that.
Oh What's this?
That's definitely a cow, and that looks like Cora.
Yeah, that's Cora, for sure. That's amazing.
That's amazing. Oh, see the power in his jaws.
Wow. With the strength of the animal.
Yeah. So I suppose that, you know, when a jaguar cut a cow like this, it brings lots of conflict.
Yeah, that's the basis for conflict, people hunting jaguars in revenge. But on the other side, it is also a consequence of problems because people is hunting the prey base. So that's why they go out and hunt cattle, because they don't have anything else to eat.
Yeah.
Jaguars are more and more threatened because the increased conversion of virgin forest into livestock pasture reduces the prey available to them. The reserve has an area of about 100 square kilometers, which is not enough to support the jaguar population. Today, the reserve is bordered by a nearly continuous succession of pastures and cattle farms. The jaguars find it difficult to move among the isolated pockets of forest.
You can see there's only little patches here and there of forest with agriculture, clear-cut areas for cattle and so forth. Pastures obviously has very little value in terms of a jaguar being able to cross. So we don't necessarily need a continuous virgin forest from here to the coast. We just need a mix of forest types along with different types of more sustainable agriculture to connect it. And that's a lot easier to sell that to landowners instead of saying, oh, we need to take your land away and put it in conservation.
The challenge for scientists is to protect the jaguars when they leave the reserve's boundaries. To do so, they must establish migration corridors. In this way, they hope to convince farmers to preserve sections of forest on their land that allow the big cats and their prey to move about their territory. But first, they must capture one.
So we use some pheromones to attract the animals.
By equipping a jaguar with a tracking collar, the scientists will be able to precisely monitor its movements.
And this is the trap. So it has a little mechanism like right in the bottom. We're gonna check it right now just to see if it's working fine. If jaguars disappear, what we're gonna see is just overabundance of many other species, probably changing entirely what we know as biodiversity right now. So it's a huge change that is gonna occur. That probably also works when you don't have sharks in the sea. The entire community changes.
Large predators are threatened all over the world, both on land and in the ocean. In recent decades, populations of sharks, tuna, and swordfish have declined by 90% around the world. During this same period, fishing intensity has increased dramatically. More and more, ecosystems are suffering the consequences of this overexploitation. In the coral reefs of the Caribbean, large predators are increasingly rare, which has weakened ecosystems and opened up a niche for an invasive species. The lionfish. Biologist Tim Pusak of the University of Oregon has studied this phenomenon for many years.
So lionfish that naturally live in the Indo-Pacific have been taken from their home by humans, brought over to the US because people like to have them in their aquariums. They're beautiful, stunning fish. It's great to look at them. The problem is they like to eat, and they like to eat a lot. So they'll tend to eat all the other fish that are in the aquarium, and so people just release it into the ocean.
Lionfish have begun to proliferate in Caribbean waters. Genetic studies show that the population began with only 6 individuals. Scientists are now studying the consequences of their presence in the food chain.
It appears that they can eat prey items that are up to about half their body size, which is rather large. They eat every and anything they can get their mouth on. Studies have found that a single lionfish could reduce the number of small coral reef fish by about 90%, so they're having a drastic effect, much greater than any native fish would have.
The smaller fish eaten by the lionfish generally consume large amounts of algae. With no fish left to eat the algae, they proliferate to the point where they suffocate the reef. The lionfish adapted quickly to its new habitat, and this fierce predator has taken advantage of the weakened ecosystems.
populations exploded since the 1990s and now extend throughout the Caribbean, into the Gulf of Mexico, up the eastern seaboard of the US, and working their way down the coast of South America.
The remarkable adaptation of this invasive species to its new environment, combined with the overfishing of large fish, has weakened the health of coral reefs in the Caribbean. Panama has not been spared the influx of invasive species, which are weakening some of the world's richest ecosystems. These ecosystems are home to nearly 50% of the world's amphibian species. Frogs occupy one of the most important niches in the food chain. They consume large amounts of harmful insects and serve as food themselves for many species of reptiles, birds, and fish. In the field of medicine, they have also led to the development of antibiotics and are important in cancer research. Over the past 250 million years, they have withstood many catastrophes affecting life on Earth. But today, frogs are in trouble. A mysterious disease is attacking them where their numbers are highest. To make matters worse, these frogs are also weakened by insecticides and habitat loss. In just a few years, over 100 species have gone extinct. A few years ago, biologist Edgardo Griffith used to come to this river to study frogs.
I used to find 56 species of frogs around this stream alone. And now can't hear anything, really, you know.
The cause of this sharp decline? An invasive species. A mysterious fungus called chytrid has invaded the rivers of Panama's mountains.
The fungus arrived in 2005, killed 90% of the amphibian community, and in some cases 100% of the individuals of certain species. Came, kill, stay, and at the same time it's moving eastward, but it's also coming up from South America.
Found in Mexico as early as 1972, the disease spread to Central America. Other infection sites have been found all over the world. Today, over a third of the world's 6,000 known amphibian species are threatened with extinction.
To me, I used to be a field biologist. Now I think I'm like an extinction biologist.
For scientists, time is running out. Edgardo and his colleagues are trying to capture living frogs in the hopes of learning more about the disease. They organize regular searches in Panama's rivers. Chytrid is spreading at a rate of over 30 kilometers per year. Scientists are trying to understand how it spreads from region to region. When a species nears extinction in nature, scientists often have no other choice but to remove the few survivors from the wild.
This one might be one of the species that we need to focus more into it and see why they survive, you know.
The last remaining individuals of many frog species are today conserved in sterilized containers, isolated from the outside world, where the dangerous fungus threatens their survival. Like Noah's Arks, these containers are only a fragile and temporary means to preserve the genetic heritage of dozens of amphibian species. But this is the best that scientists can do.
Some of them are not dealing with putrid yet in their populations, but we know it's going to get there sooner or later. So we're trying to rescue as many as we can, try to breed them, try to keep them healthy. This might be the last one, so it's a huge responsibility for us.
Yeah. In the name of all the frogs dying on the jungle floor, the search continues. Long considered among the most ideal frog habitats, Panama's forests are now a real threat to their survival. Today, this unprecedented epidemic is threatening the ecological balance of ecosystems around the world. In the Cayman Islands, it's increasing human population that is harming habitats. Over half of the original environment has been destroyed.
The population of the Cayman Islands is doubling every 12 years. What that means is the footprint on the land here that's taken over by humans is doubling every 12 years.
This habitat reduction is disastrous for certain endemic species, such as the blue iguana. Found only on Grand Cayman, it is considered one of the most threatened species in the world. As the island's largest herbivore, the blue iguana eats large amounts of fruits and flowers, which helps to disperse plant seeds over large areas. This is vital for maintaining the island's delicate plant diversity.
In 2002, we did a very detailed survey, and it was the most depressing survey I've ever been involved in, because all of the places we used to see iguanas, there were none. We think realistically it was probably more like 12 left in the wild, and they weren't finding each other to breed. So the population was doomed. It was functionally extinct, as we put it, technically speaking. They were there, but there was no future.
In 2002, Frederick Burton left his job to dedicate himself to the recovery of this species. Through trial and error, he learned how to hatch baby iguanas in incubators, far from their natural predators.
When they hatch, they're tiny, they're about this long, but they grow very, very fast. And by the time they're 2 years old, they're naturally predator-proof, effectively. They get too big for the native snakes.
Oh, this is the captive facility. We have a few hundred iguanas in here.
The young iguanas are given refuge at the Grand Cayman's Royal Botanical Park. Breeding adults, responsible for the proliferation of the species, are also kept here.
They have a need for a lot of space. I mean, we found this out. Originally, when we built this facility, we thought this was all we needed. And then we discovered they needed more space. We studied them in the wild, and then we found out, whoa, an animal like this would probably have a territory of maybe an acre or something like that. We have the 2-year-olds that we're going to put out. So Jean, these are the cages where we have the 2-year-old iguanas, the ones that we're getting ready to release into the wild.
It is now time for these young iguanas to take their true place in nature. But will this new captive-born generation succeed in recolonizing Grand Cayman's weakened environment?
Next one. Nice.
So you will sleep there for tonight, right?
Yeah. They'll be hanging in the backpacks, the same backpacks we're going to take in the morning. So they'll cool down and they'll be fine, ready to go.
After years of effort, Frederick Burton convinced the government to establish 2 protected areas on the island, where he can now release his young iguanas.
So Jean, we are on the boundary now of the Collier's Wilderness Reserve. This is the protected area on our left now. It's not huge, but the island isn't big, yeah?
By protecting the reserve from the assault of development, Frederick Burton has protected more than just the iguanas, because dozens of other threatened species also live here.
We will get rid of our packs here and we'll just take the iguana in. Here we go. Here's the box. Oh yes.
Whoa.
So now he will spend all night inside this box. All night he will sleep in here, and in the morning at first light he will come out into this strange world. And the population has gone from about 12 now to about 650, 700, somewhere around there.
A human initiative saved the blue iguana from extinction. Years of effort and protection have resulted in a protected area adapted to these animals' needs. Frederick Burton now hopes that these winning conditions will allow the most threatened reptile on the planet to begin breeding in the wild again.
The perseverance of Frederick Burton is inspiring. It proves that sometimes the efforts of a few dedicated people can make up for the abuses of society.
Sometimes evolution itself can put a species at risk.
All right.
Over time, a species can become isolated on an island, like Escudo de Veraguas, off the coast of Panama. Biologist Bryson Voirin has dedicated his life to studying what some scientists believe is the rarest mammal on Earth, the pygmy three-toed sloth. These sloths live in one of the world's most productive and most useful ecosystems in terms of biodiversity, the mangrove forest.
No, that looks like mangrove. It's not. It's really shallow.
In the tropics, mangroves protect shorelines from erosion, and they provide food and shelter for many threatened species.
Oh, hey, look, it's eating. There's a sloth right there. It's a female. Yeah, she's eating a leaf. She's got it right in her mouth.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Oh, she's got a baby. Let's see if we're real quiet. Maybe we won't. It's one of the rarest mammals on Earth, and there's two of them right there.
The pygmy three-toed sloth is found only on the island of Escudo de Veraguas. Discovered in 2001, it was immediately classified as critically endangered. Recent studies have indicated that this sloth lives exclusively in the mangrove, making it even more vulnerable, because worldwide, mangroves are being affected by climate change and human development. At current rates, they could disappear entirely by the end of the 21st century. Bryson Voirin is concerned about the survival of pygmy sloths because studies show that there are only 63 of them. During his last expedition, he attached radio collars to 10 sloths. Bryson expects to find them in the mangrove because the animals move very little and use the natural camouflage of the mangrove to avoid predators.
Oh, wow. There he is, right there.
Right there, in the mangroves again.
Yeah, he's still in the mangrove, so he hasn't really gone anywhere in the past month or so.
In the days that follow, he finds 9 of the 10 pygmy sloths, all in the mangrove. But the team is worried. because one is missing.
Sebastian.
Jean. Hi, Jean, Sebastian.
Hi, Sebastian. Yeah, we're just at the end of the mangroves. We lost our signal a little bit. We're gonna need some help.
Okay.
In 2005, several families of fishermen took up residence on the island.
¿Has visto aquí perezosos en los bosques? ¿Sí?
Their knowledge of the area could help find the missing sloth.
It doesn't really bother.
Hay mucho.
You think that the one that live in a mangrove, they live in a mangrove, but there is a lot more right behind in the jungle here.
So let's check in the forest for sure. Yeah, definitely. Muchas gracias.
This surprising information contradicts previous studies indicating that the mangrove is the pygmy sloth's sole habitat. Bryson decides to search in one of the channels leading into the forest.
Number 5 is the one that I just don't know where he went. But he might have actually gone out of the mangroves and into the forest, which would be pretty exciting because that means that he's actually eating other things besides mangrove leaves, and he's in the interior of the island maybe. Hopefully we can find him. All right, I got him on the 900 frequency. Hear that chirping? That's the sloth. So he must be straight back that way.
Every step away from the mangrove would appear to increase the credibility of the locals. But it is also possible that Bryson will only find the collar of a poached sloth. But if the sloth is found in the forest, it would be great news for the species. In nearby Costa Rica, Jan and Jose have yet to catch a jaguar. The scientists are concerned because the animal's distribution in the reserve is well known, and the lack of any tracks is surprising. They redouble their efforts in other sectors of the reserve. Capturing such a cunning animal is a huge challenge, but it's an essential part of the research, because only through a better understanding of the jaguar's migration patterns can its living space be increased. On Grand Cayman, Frederick Burton and his blue iguanas have benefited from their protected habitat for nearly 2 years.
Joel, there's a hatchling.
Yeah, that's great.
That's the first wild-born young iguana we have ever seen in this area. This is a wild iguana that has hatched here in the protected area.
So it is working.
It's working. It's
great.
Working. I think it's very interesting working on a small island because it is like a microcosm of what is going on everywhere in the world. And it's very important, I think, for people working in conservation to spend at least part of their time working on things that can succeed. It's important for personal motivation, but it's also important for the way that conservation is presented to the world. People get very tired of hearing bad news stories all the time.
The wild birth of a baby iguana is a triumph of nature. On Escudo de Veraguas, the radio signal leads Bryson Boyrin on his quest.
Yeah, you could just see her fur.
Hey, buddy. Okay. Look at that.
Wow.
Whew. Victoria. Hey. Whoa, you're looking big. Oh, man.
That's great.
Oh, she looks great. Look at her.
Yeah.
That's great. She looks like she's been doing very good here in the forest and not in the mangroves, so she looks very healthy.
You know, one thing I think that this shows is that even though the mangroves are being cut, that may not be as big of a risk for the pygmy sloths, because if they're able to eat other things in the forest, at least they have other food sources besides just the mangroves. So I'm pretty confident to say that there are more sloths than just 63 on Escudo. There are probably a lot more. If they're in the whole island here like this, that means the population is pretty good.
Ready to go?
All right, Victoria.
Back to home, sweet home.
So the locals were right. If the pygmy sloths are spread over the entire island and live in its abundant forest, scientists will have to re-examine their numbers and maybe even the status of the species. It's fantastic news for the pygmy three-toed sloth. This important discovery was the result of collaboration between scientists and the island's inhabitants. But the happiness of this day is short-lived. Not far away, a nasty surprise awaits the scientists. A green turtle, another endangered species, is trapped in the dugout of a group of poachers.
So they're in the islands, you know, so they're probably gonna cut it up, smoke it, and then they will cook it slowly. They'll finish with it. And this animal can stay at least a week before he starts to get weak.
Do they really know what they're doing?
I really think they really know what they do. The police would come around here maybe 1 or 2 times in a month, just pass around looking for drugs people, but they really not looking to see if people killing sea turtle.
That's pretty sad to see.
It's pretty sad, you know, for me, it's because, you know, I worked 13 years protecting sea turtle with the Peter Maryland Animal and Project in Cayo Zapatia. And my father got more than 20 years saving them, you know, trying to save them, and I do the same, you know, so it's pretty sad to see they catch it and they're going to kill it, you know.
Poaching is yet another threat in the fight to conserve endangered species. And the problem is widespread, even in protected areas.
So?
Bad news.
Nothing?
Nothing. We checked all the traps again, where we put the extra pheromones out last night, and nothing.
No tracks, nothing?
No tracks. We actually went along a couple extra trails and checked that where there were some muddy spots from the rain that we had the other day. We haven't seen a track since you've been here.
Well, that's life, I suppose.
Yep, we're obviously very concerned about what might be causing this. Even if we have all this conservation momentum behind us, it can just take a few people to come in and maybe snare some animals, which is what we're hearing. It's depressing.
But where are Cora and the other jaguars? There are rumors that poachers have recently been operating inside the reserve, and 2 of them were even bold enough to brag of their horrible acts on social networks.
Oh my God, that's sad.
It's a catastrophe for the local population, which numbers only 14 jaguars.
How far should we go to protect threatened species? A private militia patrols the reserve every day. Around here, they don't mess around when it comes to conservation. There are rampant rumors that up to 11 jaguars have been killed in the region, possibly even within the boundaries of the reserve. Jaguar skins have been found on the black market.
It makes me sad because it's as if they were threatening members of my own family. So I don't know what we're going to do with these poachers. So much work, love, and sacrifice over so many years, only to see our jaguars killed. We're going to return to the mountain and try to find these hunters who shoot at anything that moves.
On Little Cayman, another type of hunting party is being organized. Local diving associations are mobilizing to wipe out the lionfish, the species now considered the worst poacher in the Caribbean. But the divers must keep up the hunting pressure if they are going to neutralize this invasion, because lionfish reproduce extremely quickly. This is not sustainable. So they have turned to a more natural solution. They are enlisting the help of the few groupers that live near the coastline. Little by little, they are training them to hunt the invader. Who knows whether these few fish will develop a taste for the lionfish and transmit this new feeding habit to other fish. Earth's ecosystems are today weakened and threatened by a variety of external pressures. Conservation efforts are vital, but the hard work of many can be completely undone by the greed of just a few.
Buying the turtle's freedom cost only a few dollars. A modest sum given the situation. We even wondered if we were not trying to appease our own conscience in the face of so much indifference. But this was a living symbol of nature's difficult coexistence with humanity. We just couldn't leave it there and do nothing.
I'm optimistic because I believe we can change things, and if a human being realizes the importance, there's still something we can do, but we are right on the edge.
The coral reef system could be in dire straits, but we need to take efforts in order to mitigate these, and we can stop fishing larger fish and keep them on the reef, and it's important that we do it now.
I'm not really sure which species will survive and which will survive in the future, but I think life will find a way.
The lionfish invasion really highlights for me is the importance for humans to understand that they can have a drastic effect, and they need to realize what they're doing before they do it.
When you're in a forest with predators, it gives you a new respect for life. It gives you a new respect for the connectivity of all things. You actually feel like you're not on the top of the world. Maybe that's where we should begin, is to not just educate people in the classroom, but take people out of the classroom into what's left of the wilderness so that we can actually save it.
once you inspire people and educate them, I think then they'll start to care more about it and help protect it.
The troubled coexistence between humans and the different forms of life on our planet too often translates into the loss of species that play key roles in ecosystems. Perhaps we can draw inspiration from the remarkable work of scientists who dedicate their lives to preserving endangered species. Humanity has a duty to reestablish a harmonious relationship with nature, and do it soon. It is within our grasp to sustainably and harmoniously develop the Earth's resources. But time is running out if our legacy to future generations is to inspire a wave of change and a new attitude. One of respect for biodiversity and the essential harmony among all forms of life.
We're headed to Costa Rica in Central America, a country that is known for its extraordinary biodiversity. In fact, over 25% of the land is now protected, and tourists from around the world come to visit the country to enjoy its wonderful ecology.
Framed by the Caribbean to the east and the Pacific to the west, Costa Rica is located between Nicaragua and Panama. Its lush forests are home to one of the last big cats of the Americas, the jaguar. This mythical animal has suffered from habitat fragmentation and the continual reduction of its hunting territory. The jaguar's troubled coexistence with humans now threatens the very future of the species. The team heads to the highlands of Costa Rica, to a private reserve in the Talamanca region. In this protected area, scientists can study the jaguar's behavior. The farm also hosts Aboriginal families who are rediscovering their roots and an old harmony with nature. The team is meeting with scientists Jan Schipper and Jose Gonzalez of the Sierra to Sea Institute. Jose is a jaguar specialist and knows the reserve very well.
Jaguar is probably one of the most amazing animals in America. This is one of the last big predators we have. Only pumas share the same, like the same ecology and niche. It's their third largest cat in the world. And well, it can go from 30 kilos up to 100, 120. They can live around in the wild around 20 years. There's some cases reported of, like longer, but usually they die before because they get old and it's difficult for them to hunt.
Jaguars exist as a symbol for wild, as a symbol that we still have places where big predators can exist and prey base can exist.
Genetic studies have shown that jaguars actually belong to a single family, extending from Argentina to Mexico. However, as forests continue to shrink, Jaguar populations are increasingly confined to isolated pockets, small areas that are often not connected by migration corridors.
We have identified so far in the farm 12 different individuals. It's a big concentration because there's no hunting, there's a good prey base, we have all the mammal assemblage, entire complete mammal assemblage. And so this is probably a shelter, a good shelter for them. So it's what we call in population biology a source population. So animals, breed here, produce here, and they move out and colonize other areas. So right now we're going to where we set up the trap and one snare and a couple camera traps. It's in the middle of the forest and the road is not very good, so it's gonna take a little while and hopefully not many raining. It's pretty hard to drive. Whoa. We saw this morning some fresh tracks, so I think we have really good chances, but obviously these are really, really smart animals, so well, you never know, it's a matter of luck. Hopefully we'll get the animal.
The biologists hope to capture a jaguar. They want to install a satellite transmitter that would tell them about how the jaguars make use of their territory.
So we use some pheromones to attract the animals, and we set them in these small sticks all the way, so like pointing at the trap.
And you can see the two cameras right over here.
Oh yeah, so, yeah, two cameras, two here and here, and this is the trap. So it has a little mechanism like right in the bottom. It's just like a small table. If the animal steps on it, this gate just falls down. Yep. We're gonna check it right now just to see if it's working fine. Ay, ay, ay.
These little cameras here detect heat and motion. So anytime something warm passes in front of the camera, it will take a picture. These will work day and night, and they can take video and still images. Okay, so we've got a couple of different kinds of baits here to choose from. What we put on this one so far is the fat cat predator bait. These are pheromones mixed with some urine and other things that we can use to try and bring the cat in.
And the cats like them. The jaguars
Well, we don't know if they like it, but they're attracted to it. This attracts a lot of other things too. We don't just get cats, we'll get bees, as you can see, insects, butterflies are very attracted to this.
Even other mammals like tapirs,
other mammals.
Yeah, it's something really different, and they're not used to these strong smells. Yep. So it's just something to attract animals in general.
Yeah. Okay, what we're going to do now is just take a little bit of this other pheromone, which has a little bit more scent to it. It's a little bit stronger. And we're going to apply it here to the side of the tree. This way we can disperse the scent across the trail a little bit better. I can use a stick to sort of put it wherever I want, but this moss holds the scent nicely, even if it rains. So I can just take a little bit of this and just apply it on to the side of here and spread it out just a little bit.
Okay. So I think we're gonna use this place here. It's narrow, we can close it. There's a couple bakery entrances around. I think it's gonna be perfect.
This is to create a natural path for him.
Natural path, yeah. He's not gonna jump over that. He's just looking for the easiest way.
So, Jose, what are the chances that we catch one?
I think we have great chances. The place is great. I mean, this road, it's used lots of time by the jaguars and pumas. The place is really safe. There's only one path, so I think we have great chances. It's a great place, not harm for the animal, so it's probably fine.
With jaguars, it's like a game of hide and seek. Once you are there, you need to erase all traces because they can detect us from afar. They are very cunning animals.
During his years tracking jaguars of the reserve, Jose has managed to photo-identify many animals. He can now recognize them by the different pigmentation patterns of their fur. Approximately 6% of jaguars are melanistic, or all black. These are often called panthers. Cameras installed on trees allow biologists to photograph other animals of the forest as well, such as pumas or even the jaguar's prey. All this data is essential because observing a jaguar in the wild is rare. Sometimes the videos captured by these cameras are simply astonishing.
Oh, look at that.
Oh my
What's
God.
this? What is that? Is that a cow?
That's definitely a cow, and that looks like Cora.
Yeah, that's Cora. Amazing. This is amazing.
That cow's probably been dead for at least 2 or 3 days. You can see by all the flies and the entrails coming out.
Yeah.
You don't see that every day.
No.
These images are rare and valuable, but they also demonstrate the problems of coexistence between cattle farmers and forest predators, like the jaguar.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Look at that.
That's a big jaguar.
Look at that.
I see the string in his
Look at that.
mouth. Wow.
And there she goes.
Oh, amazing. That is awesome. That's great. That is awesome.
To avoid possible injury to an animal, it is important to check the traps every 4 hours, day or night.
Ready? Yep.
Capturing a jaguar is certainly not a simple task. They are very cunning animals, but we are patient.
Nothing, eh? Nothing. Oh, but wait a second. Look at that. Hey, guys. There's a track.
Oh, yeah.
Let's try to look for more, probably more tracks.
Careful stepping over.
Yeah.
Trap's right here. Wow, there's another track over here. Looks like he came in this way and went right up to the trap and right over it.
Oh, yeah.
We missed.
It's really frustrating because it's days we've been trying. We thought we were getting anywhere, and then we saw that there was a track just nearby, and we missed out.
So close. Ah, that was close. This. Look at that.
Converting forest into agricultural land causes a significant loss of jaguar habitat. Less forested areas means less prey for forest predators such as the jaguar. So it is not surprising to see big cats attacking livestock. Coexistence between jaguars and livestock farmers has become a serious issue for the conservation of large forest predators.
We need actually to work really hard with people, and we need to work on agricultural landscapes and, you know, like all the private lands, because we need areas where the animals can move between protected areas with no harm, not causing conflict, not getting hunted. We have passed the paradigm of working only in protected areas. Now we need to focus on the areas that are not protected but are critical. Yeah.
the team has decided to widen its search area. Jose and Jan want to investigate every part of the farm to study the movement of the jaguars.
Yeah, this is a perfect place. Ah, look at there, look at there.
Oh, yeah.
Those are jaguar marks.
Wow, even there.
All the way up.
So that's a good spot for jaguar.
This is a perfect spot. Yeah, this is the place we should set up the camera. Yeah. Can you hold there, please? Yep. So usually we use this height because we can catch pretty much any mammal that comes in front of it. We always use these shady areas so we don't get sunlight direct to it.
Historically, native peoples lived within jaguar range for hundreds of thousands of years without a whole lot of problems. As populations of humans expanded, the parks sort of had to draw the lines and put fences up, and that's been the major problem. If you just fence these parks off, it's just not enough area, and you can't, especially in an area as small as Costa Rica, even 25% of the nation, put in some kind of protection just isn't enough because you have little blocks of habitat all over, none of which are really big enough to support jaguar.
I think seeing the farm from the air will give you a very good perspective of the work we're trying to do.
It is the biggest private forest reserve in Costa Rica held by one person. Over 25,000 acres. Wow. Yeah, you see the border of the farm, you see? That goes for many, 20-some kilometers that way.
So from here, everything to the right is the challenge that we face. Everything to the right here is what we need to talk about in terms of connectivity. You can see there's only little patches here and there of forest with agriculture, clear-cut areas for cattle and so forth. So each one of those has a sort of value system in terms of what use they can be for animals to go through. Pastures obviously has very little value in terms of a jaguar being able to cross. But some of these agroforestry areas you can see here, which is a mix of trees and sustainable agriculture types, is actually something a jaguar will pass through. So we don't necessarily need a continuous virgin forest from here to the coast. We just need a mix of forest types along with different types of more sustainable agriculture to connect it. And that's a lot easier to sell that to landowners instead of saying, oh, we need to take your land away and put it in conservation. What we need to do is teach people better ways to manage their land so that all the different species can survive here together.
Yeah.
The problems of the rainforest are not only caused by deforestation, there are a host of other factors. For example, in the neighboring country, Panama, the habitats are also threatened.
Panama is known for its famous canal, which allows ships from around the world to pass quickly between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. Globalization and shipping are responsible for the ever-increasing spread of invasive foreign species. The arrival of a new animal, bacteria, or even fungus can often seriously upset the balance in ecosystems. For example, in Panama, frogs are disappearing. A mysterious microscopic fungus has invaded the country and is quickly killing off many of the rainforest's amphibians. The golden frog is the emblem of Panama, but you won't find any in the wild. It is now considered extinct, and only a handful of survivors remain in captivity. Biologist Edgardo Griffith is trying to understand the strange disease affecting Panama's amphibians. The team accompanied him to a river that he has studied extensively.
This is like prime golden frog habitat. This is like a very good breeding area because it's fast-moving water. The first time I came to this stream was in 2003, and I was impressed with so many frogs and large numbers of them. So in a way, to me sometimes was like, how can they all managed to be in such a small stream and be successful and eat and breed in here, but it was just so many. I could spend hours, 10, 12 hours, just sitting, getting recordings of the vocalization. The water, the stream, especially like in quiet pools, the whole bottom of the stream was moving because it was just loaded with tadpoles, and by seeing that, you knew that it was a healthy environment. What's your head here?
And then what happened?
At the end of 2005, beginning of 2006, we knew about this fungus that was moving from the west, coming, eastward. We knew that it was going to get here, and we anticipated that it was going to arrive around 2007, but the fungus arrived in 2006.
The Kirtid fungus arrived in Panama in 2006, and it was devastating. Frogs started dying at an alarming rate, and scientists were powerless to stop it.
Some scientists believe that the fungus dates back to the 1930s and 40s, when a species of African frog, Xenopus laevis, was used to develop pregnancy tests. At the time, scientists found that hormones in the urine of pregnant women caused egg laying in this species. It was an important and promising scientific discovery, and Xenopus laevis was sent to laboratories around the world. Though it's self-resistant to the disease, the frog was a carrier of the chytrid fungus. So the fungal pathogen was spread around the world. It mutated to a new form and invaded much of the tropical rainforest, killing most of the amphibians in its path. Found mostly in wetlands, the fungus acts like a sealant on amphibian skin. Because amphibians breathe partly through their skin, the chytrid fungus causes a series of metabolic problems. Eventually, the frog suffocates and dies. Some have survived, but many species have gone extinct. Today, the disease continues to wreak havoc around the world, and unfortunately, there are no effective cures for the epidemic.
It's crazy when you think about it. Edgardo has already identified 56 species of frogs in this simple little stream. Today, finding one is a challenge. And the golden frog of Panama, the very emblem of the country, is considered extinct everywhere in the wild.
The fungus kill 90% of the amphibian community, in some cases 100% of the individuals of certain species. Came, kill, stay, and at the same time it's moving. It's moving eastward towards the Darien or towards Colombia, but it's also coming up from South America.
We cut the sound of the stream, few insects. I mean, it's really quiet.
It's extremely quiet. For somebody that's been here before, that knows how noisy this stream was, frog-wise, it's remarkable not to be able to hear them, And it's just, it gets you. It gets you, and it's not just the feeling of, that the frogs are missing, but to know that they're missing is really sad, actually. And, a lot of us goes away when the frogs are disappearing, and I don't want people to feel that way. In this tree, I found what I call the last golden frog 2 years ago. It was at night, and she was sleeping up there. The animals that are left have no opportunity if we don't take them out of their environment and put them in captivity. And for as ugly as that sounds, it's the only option. But if somebody can come up with another solution, I would be more than willing to try.
Captivity is the only option for the moment. So they built small, sterile laboratories where they housed the last forest specimens. It's a little crazy. Everything must be sterilized when you enter the lab, because just on the other side of the door is the fungus ready to kill. And it's also crazy at the same time to think that we've had to build modern Noah's Arks to save the last living examples of a species from the devastation brought on by humans.
The reason why we had to build this center was to reduce the risk of extinction of certain species of amphibians that were being affected by a fungal disease. So the only option for us was to go to the field and collect most of the time sick animals, and we brought them here and we applied treatments to help them get rid of the fungus. And the goal of this facility is to, keep as many as we can in captivity until we can bring them to where they belong. Some of the animals that we have here are the last of their kind. They represent what's still alive of one particular species from around this area. Sad enough, I'm a biologist. I used to be a field biologist. Now I think I'm like an extinction biologist. As you see here, we have a lot of tanks, hundreds of tanks, and within those tanks we have hundreds of plants and rocks. And one of our biggest challenge here is to make sure that the fungus that we know that's right outside that door doesn't get in here. So we have to disinfect constantly everything that comes into the facility to make sure that that fungus stays out there and not in this facility. The center in Panama City could be seen somehow as a Noah's Ark. Back then was God's will. Nowadays what's happening is because we are causing it. So we are the ones that have to come up with ideas, with Noah's Ark, and make sure that we bring those animals to where they belong, because they don't belong to a facility, they belong to this stream,
The team scours the riverbanks for hours without finding a single frog. In the face of such carnage, scientists can do nothing. For the moment, they have no solution. They are merely trying to gain time, making every effort to capture and save the last individuals able to resist the disease.
There's one.
But it's a daunting task.
This is a male, Mylisca siwa. And this is a species of tree frog. Normally, we don't find them during the day like it was here or like in the stream, You normally find them on the side, side pools, then in the bank. But this animal, I don't think that's in a, 100% in a healthy site, because a healthy frog of this species will be trying to escape, to run away in a very energetic way. They're really strong based on, according to the size. Some of these animals might have a heavy infection and they still survive.
So after more than 5 hours, he's the only one that we found.
That's how bad it is. 5 years ago, we probably already seen, couple hundred, 300-400 frogs in, the 200 meters that we have walked. And it's how bad it is. It's how empty this place is, one single guy.
Could you see some effect already, into that ecosystem?
Well, yes. First of all, in the water, you see a lot more algae growing over the rocks. And also, there are a lot of parasites and and mosquitoes and things that can easily transmit diseases that we don't even know that they exist yet, because amphibians were there to keep all these things in check in a way.
So the entire equilibrium is broken.
It's totally broken, it's compromised. And, you know, but by saying this, I'm not saying that it's too late. Because if we come together, because I know we can, to find a solution, I think that not just amphibians will be back, but everything else is related to the amphibians, including the forest.
Some regions, such as the lowlands of Panama, are less affected by the chytrid fungus. For scientists like Roberto Ibales, it is important to focus research in these areas to try and understand why some species are more resistant than others.
We arrived at the river at dusk and started our trek. We began to hear frogs, and it was a sign of hope for us. Of course, we didn't hear much, but already it was very encouraging.
What species it is?
That is a glass frog, and it's a male that is calling and has a egg mass just next to it. The males guard the eggs once they are laid on the leaves.
That's a tree frog.
It's a tree frog, yes. But they are called glass frogs because you can see the bones through their skin and the internal organs.
At present, this fungi is found not only in the highlands but also in the lowlands of Panama. Yet we don't know much about what is happening with the amphibian populations in the lowlands.
Right here.
Yeah. Good. Qué bueno. This is a very interesting species because in places that are already infected or that have declined, you still find this species around. So this one might be one of the species that we need to focus more into it and see why is there so bad, you know. And even though this is not endangered species, it's important to do this kind of surveys because it tells us if we have this fungus around this area. She might be infected, but she's not sick. Yeah. You know? All right, now we're gonna let this little guy go.
The export of organisms is a problem all over the world. And we know this because it isn't the first time we hear of it. Often organisms that are introduced into new areas become vehicles for pathogens or potential pathogens, harming the ecosystems into which they are introduced.
One morning at Edgardo's research center, the news was not very good. A specimen of a very rare species had died of an unknown cause. Obviously, captivity is not an ideal solution, but right now it is the only one scientists have found.
You know what happened? I think that because she was gravid and we didn't put a female in the tank. You know, the eggs got bad. We used to have 3 of these species, or at least 3 animals that look similar that were collected in the same stream. So this is a big, loss for us. What we're gonna do is try to get as much information from this animal as possible that we can use to make sure that the other 2 that we have stay alive and with us. And if they turn out to be a new species,
they will be even more important than they are right now.
We don't have a cure for this fungus. We can cure the animals once let's say I come here, I find a frog, I collect the frog, then I go to the lab and I give a treatment to that frog to help the frog to get rid of the fungus. So voila, yes, the frog is cured. But if I bring that frog back here, she will get reinfected and die. It's a fact. We've seen it many times. They are important. They are as important as an elephant, as a tiger, as the white shark. They all have a role in the environment, and they all belong to a place, and they are all part of something. So we need to make sure that amphibians continue doing the dirty job for us.
But I think there is still some hope. For example, in Costa Rica, where we work with jaguars, a species of frog is defying the prognostics of science.
One day, in the Talamanca Reserve, a child came up to Jose. In his hands, he held a strange little frog he had found near the river. The scientists were astonished.
Here are some marks. So that's the site? Yeah. We have found a couple here, so we probably may be luck. There. Wow. It's a beautiful little frog.
Do you know when they discovered the fungus around here?
Yeah, actually, the last time it was 17 years ago. When they discovered this population, there was already declining, and they reported actually the extinction and disappearance of the frog in the river. And that's where they discovered the fungus here. It is officially recorded as extinct here and in all Costa Rica right now.
Do we know why this population is resilient?
That's exactly what we're studying right now, actually. This is a unique opportunity because we don't know if it's resilient or if it's tolerant. Maybe the fungus also changed. So this is like a live laboratory to study amphibian decline and why this population is recovering, as in many other parts that they disappear and they're gone.
So this frog, in a way, is bringing lots of hope.
It is lots of hope, because if this one is recovering, there's hope for other species in the country and in the neotropics to be recovering. And also this part is really important in amphibian diversity. So that means that if we found this population, probably, eventually, and hopefully we're gonna find other species that were totally and considered extinct in Costa Rica.
The rainforest is threatened from all sides, but I think it is important to understand the critical role played by each link of the food chain, each species in its ecosystem. The jaguar, for example, is what one would call an umbrella species, in that they control other populations that interact within the same ecosystem. The role of the jaguar is very important, just like that of the frog.
So? Bad news.
Nothing?
Nothing. We checked all the traps again.
Well, that's life, I suppose.
Yep, we're obviously very concerned about what might be causing this. We're looking into it. I think the next steps for us are to put out some more camera traps and just re-survey the entire area, because we know how many individuals there are and which ones are around. We can actually go back and see which ones are missing from the population and maybe do an estimate of what's happened. Yeah. Even if we have all this conservation momentum behind us, it can just take a few people to come in and maybe snare some animals, which is what we're hearing, maybe using some of the bear snares that they use in the U.S. that are kill traps. It's depressing.
That's sad.
It's the reality we live in.
Yeah.
No, nothing. No tracks. No tracks around.
We didn't see signs. We were on trails in an area we've been working for 5 years with very positive signs for jaguar and puma and a lot of their prey. We had no signs whatsoever that they were jaguar in that area. And because that's the low part of the farm that borders with the outside world, we're very concerned that maybe poachers have been coming in there and using some illegal snares to kill the jaguar.
It's early morning in the small village of the reserve. and the people are on alert. Rumors are circulating that poachers may have come into the reserve. Everyone lends a hand. Every effort must be made to protect the jaguars.
We actually have a picture here.
This is a picture that came off of Facebook.
That's sad.
It's a shame. I mean, they're really rare, and this was just for fun, you know.
And these are young kids. I mean, look how young they are. These are the people we need to be reaching out to make sure that the next generation doesn't grow up like the one that we currently face.
Yeah.
They can be teaching their parents, but I think if we can convince them that this is a problem and that they shouldn't be taking pride in posting pictures like this on Facebook, that maybe we can change the future for these species.
A private militia is preparing to go hunting for poachers. Here, conservation measures are not just expressed with words.
It's actually kind of worrying because there are some rumors of heavy poaching and hunting in the area, and in general in the country recently, so many jaguar deaths, and unfortunately that could be affecting the animals and the population in general. It's something really worrying, and we need to find out what's happening with the population.
The farm has had anywhere between 9 to 16 armed guards protecting the borders during night and day, and they've done a really good job at keeping out the poachers. It's a reality that we have to face, because if we don't do that, then we're going to suffer from the syndrome that the park suffers from, and that's this repeat poachers coming in over and over again and removing the animals from the park. On one side, we have this paradigm of having a set-aside reserves, but I don't think that's going to be the future of our planet. Setting aside reserves and parks that don't allow people to go in there is nice, and I think it has to be done in some areas, but we really need to start figuring out how to get these 9 million people into the forest so they can appreciate what's going on outside of the cities.
Bueno, ¿es aquí entonces? Sí, es aquí.
I know of at least 3 jaguars that have been killed just outside the property. They've been confirmed, but there are actually rumors of 11. That's a lot. Recently, there seems to be a growing business for jaguar skins, so we're trying to find out who is behind it. I was telling Fernando how sad I am, because it's as if they were threatening members of my own family. I don't know what we'll do with these hunters. It worries us. It's really frustrating. So many years of work, of love, of sacrifices, just to witness our jaguars being killed.
The introduction of invasive species, deforestation, loss of habitat. The menaces to the tropical forest are numerous, and quite frankly, we may be running out of time.
There's no time to feel sad about this situation, because that's not going to fix anything. I think we can work together mainly for the animals, but also for future generations, so that when they look back, they'll say, yeah, those guys knew that it was a problem and they came up with a solution, and they will be thankful for that.
I'm optimistic because I believe we can change things, and if people and you know, human being realizes the importance, there's still something we can do, but we are right on the edge. If we protect jaguars, that means that we can protect a vast majority of biodiversity.
Fortunately, everywhere on the planet, there are scientists who are organizing to protect habitats. And I think we should heed them more, because these men and women really dedicate their lives to saving the planet's biodiversity, and they are all saying the same thing. If we organize, we are capable of great things, but it is important that we act, and that we act now.
In their quest to understand the major issues of biodiversity, the Sedna 4 team heads to Panama, a paradise for plants and animals. With 1,500 species of trees, more than 250 species of mammals, and nearly 1,000 species of birds. Arriving from the Caribbean, the port of Colón, with its giant cranes rising into the sky, is an astonishing sight. Panama is at the southern end of Central America, between Costa Rica and Colombia. This small country is famous for its canal across the Isthmus of Panama, a maritime passageway that allows ships to quickly cross between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans.
It's impressive because every year there are approximately 1,500 boats that navigate the Panama Canal to transport hundreds of millions of tons of cargo.
The Sedna 4 also traverse the Panama Canal. Dwarfed by giant ocean freighters, the sailboat makes its way through the complex system of locks that allow ships to sail between the different elevations of the shipping route between the two oceans. The narrow canal cuts through Panama's tropical forest, famous for its extraordinary biodiversity. And among all the animals of the forest, hides a small, fascinating creature, the sloth. The team stops on the island of Barro Colorado, also called BCI, located right in the middle of the Panama Canal. The island is home to one of the largest tropical rainforest research centers in the world. Each year, hundreds of scientists come to the Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute to better understand rainforest ecology. One of the world's eminent sloth experts, biologist Bryson Voyrin, awaits the team.
So here's our boat right down here.
Oh, great.
And we're gonna go on a little short trip around the back side of the island and go look for our sloth.
3-toed or 2-toed?
The 3-toed sloth.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the more friendly type of sloth.
Great.
So here we are. I started with sloths because I've always loved climbing trees, and I was really excited about working in the canopy in the rainforest because something like 80 or 90% of all of the biodiversity in the rainforest is up in the treetops. And sloths are a perfect animal for me to study because I can actually climb up the tree and catch them, and they can't run away all that fast. Now, I work a lot with the brown-throated 3-toed sloth, which is the sloth that's common to all of Panama. And they're a very slow-moving arboreal mammal, and they spend their entire lives in the canopy. BCI is an amazing forest to work in because it used to be a hilltop before the Panama Canal got flooded. And now, with the canal, it's actually an island that's been cut off from the mainland. And no one is allowed on BCI except for scientists with the Smithsonian. So it's a really amazing place to work because it's completely cut off from the rest of Panama, and it's right in the middle of the Panama Canal. Because when they filled the canal, they didn't cut down the old trees. So right now, we're on the tops of trees. And depending on the water level, you can see they pop up a little bit, and the bad ones are the ones just below the water. And if you go over it with a boat, you can hit them. It's like a minefield. You know, boom, hit the wrong one, and it takes the engine off. So we swim back. Oh, there's a tree right there. Looks like a crocodile, but that's a tree. Jean, I think there's a sloth actually right in the top of that tree right over there. If we go right through this little canal, we can get to the back side of the tree. Boat, actually, it's the easiest way to find sloths on BCI because you can actually see into the forest from the edge. Now, hiking around BCI, it'll take me up to 1 week to find a sloth. And that's a long time to find such an animal that's so common on BCI. But by boat, I can find several in one day.
This is really not an easy task. First, you need to locate a sloth from the boat. Then you need to get onto the bank and walk around trying to find the same tree. No, it really takes skill.
think this is our tree.
Okay.
Right here. And I think I can just barely make out the sloth up there. Right at the top of the tree.
Where? I don't see it.
Just in the top of the tree, right in the sunlight, right up there.
We have binoculars, and Bryson tells us where to look. But honestly, I never saw it.
And what's this here?
Huh? Oh, wow.
Is it
That's actually, this is sloth poop. It's this really strange thing with sloths. They only go to the bathroom on the ground. They spend their whole life in the trees except to go to the bathroom. So they climb all the way down once a week and go to the bathroom.
A monkey. A real monkey.
It's normally dramatically slower. The running motion he uses, I believe, is something he came up with himself. It's very unique.
Hey, come here. Hey.
It was fun to watch.
Hey. Grab the sloth real quick.
Okay. I have
Nice. Bryson has captured a female who shows no sign of aggression.
Go back with you.
There you go. Nice. Well, here's our sloth.
Do they drink water or just by the leaf?
Just by the leaves, actually. It's amazing that they never drink water. And in the dry season, I wonder how thirsty they get.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's doing yoga.
Yeah. Okay. Females have a call. They're attracted to the scent of the males. Males have an oil gland on their back. And when the female smells the oil, they go real high pitch. Yeah.
Yeah. It's another friend.
And the males will hear that call and will spend days looking for the female.
And what's the use, I know it's a ridiculous question, but what is the use of a sloth in the jungle?
That's actually a great question. When Europeans first discovered sloths, they thought that they're the most ridiculous animal in the world. They have poor vision, they have poor hearing, they can't walk on the ground, they're totally defenseless, they can get eaten by anything. And they thought they were just ridiculous. But when you think about it, they fill a perfect evolutionary gap in the forest. They actually eat up to 2% of all the leaves in the rainforest each year.
Wow.
So they have a huge impact on the forest. And just the fact that they're so slow and so, what people would think is ridiculous, but they're actually perfectly evolved. The way that I study sloths on BCI is by using radio collars on them, and once they have been fitted with a radio collar, I can track their movements around the rainforest using an antenna, and that way I can find them over the course of different days.
It doesn't move, huh?
Yeah, she's very calm. She's a happy one. Sometimes the sloths will fight you a little bit. They can be feisty, especially the big aggressive males, but she's happy. So, before we let her go, we'll get a weight of her.
Equipped with a new radio collar, this female is now ready to return to her environment. Unwittingly, she will be contributing to science, helping Bryson to better understand how sloths move in the forest. The Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute is located on one of the islands in Lake Gatun, an artificial lake created by a dam on the Chagres River that was built as part of the Panama Canal construction project.
We're actually sailing over a submerged forest. There are trees, railroads, even old villages under the ship's hull. It was all flooded when the dam was built.
This man-made island is now a protected area, reserved for scientists. Biologist Megan Eccles is a specialist in bees. She knows the island of Barro Colorado well. She's been coming here regularly to do research for many years.
What's that strange noise?
Oh, that's the mantled howler monkey. The males have these specialized vocal sacs so they can make that huge growling sound that you hear. And the purpose of it is to announce to other groups of howler monkeys in the area where that particular group is located. One of the biggest threats to howler monkey personal security is conflicts with other groups. So to avoid conflict, the males in each group will howl at sunrise, sunset, before rain starts, and when they move into a new feeding patch. And it announces to the other groups, hey, we're here. So you can tell there's several groups vocalizing right now. It's because when one group announces its location, the others feel obligated to do the same so they can stay away from each other. Got a bit of a reputation as the bee woman. I collect colonies that fall in the forest or are located in inconvenient places, and it gives me a good diversity of species to work with. So I can look at community interactions, inter-colony behavior, that sort of thing. Bees are pollinators. They're pollinators in most major ecosystems. Forest systems are dependent on bees to get their reproduction done. Flowers have to be pollinated in order to form fruits. Fruits are needed to make seeds. Without any seeds, you don't have any seedlings. The forest can't regenerate itself. You take away the bees, you take away the forest's ability to grow and to heal if it's damaged. It's been shown if you deforest anywhere tropical, stingless bees and orchid bees don't adapt. So even if you have intact forests on either side of a large area that's logged, the bees won't be able to make the crossing. So if you lose them in one part of the forest, that forest is going to be in trouble.
That's the nest that you were talking about?
Mm-hmm. Straight ahead.
Oh, wow.
It's right here.
Right there?
Mm-hmm. It's right here. Little yellow tube. What we're looking at now is a colony of a bee whose scientific name is Tetragonisca angustula. They actually don't have a common name like honeybees have a common name because there are hundreds of different species of stingless bee, far too many for each one to have an individual common name. This particular nest probably has about 1,500 bees in it.
Oh, yeah.
They're so calm and they're so serene. They're a very zen little bee.
And what is that substance?
The material that the nest entrance is made out of is actually a mixture of resins that they collect from trees, so just tree sap, and also a wax that they produce themselves. It's very soft, very pliable, and one of the reasons they leave the end so raw, mostly this yellow part is just wax, is because at night, this species will actually close their front door. They shut the nest entrance. And it's not so much to defend against predators as it is to defend against parasites, which are their biggest concern here. So there are a lot of species of bee that nest in the canopy, which is a little inconvenient. They're difficult to see. So one of the nice things about tree falls is they bring canopy nesting bees down to our level, so they're much easier to observe. Now, be a little bit careful when we approach the nest. These bees bite, but they don't sting. So there's no venom involved. It's just like a little pinch.
But a little bite?
Just a little bite.
But
yeah.
they're gonna bite, eh?
They are gonna bite, yeah.
Great. I love jungle.
So this is a colony of Scapter trigona. It's another stingless bee. Very social. They can live in absolutely massive colonies of thousands or tens of thousands of individuals. They are a bit aggressive, much more aggressive than the last bees we saw, but they only really respond to something that vibrates or shakes their nest. It's a direct threat to their babies and their queen.
How big it is?
This colony, it's probably several square feet, so very, very large space. They can get up to sometimes half a tree trunk if they're left alone and they're thriving. So those are the colonies that get into the hundreds of thousands of bees. The bees that are leaving are most likely foragers. You can tell which ones are foragers when they return. The ones that are searching for pollen have little balls of white or yellow stuff on their hind legs. Bees that are coming back with nectar, however, they're not identifiable when they're flying. They carry the nectar in their stomach. The pollen is for the larvae, the babies. They need protein to grow. The adults are fully grown. They don't need the protein. What they need are carbohydrates, sugars for energy. So the adults only consume the nectar.
Some are going out of the colony with something in their mouth. Are they cleaners?
They are cleaners, yeah. There's house cleaning going on today, apparently. So probably they are expanding the inside of this nest. Although some of the other bees who are leaving are probably cleaning out the bathroom, so to speak.
And what is the big problem with bees in the world?
There's no one problem. If there was, we might actually be able to solve it. In honeybee populations, something has been occurring in the last 10 years that scientists refer to as colony collapse disorder. It's this mysterious phenomenon where all the workers, all of the foraging bees in a colony will suddenly disappear, and they leave behind a healthy queen, healthy juveniles, but the workers are just gone, and without the workers, the colony dies. There have been a lot of studies that have tried to identify what is causing this, and we're really not that close to an answer still. There's a lot of research that suggests it could be fungus, it could be a virus, but the fungi and the viruses aren't found in every colony that collapses, so it's still unclear. There's a very famous quote by Albert Einstein who said that if bees were to disappear, society would collapse inside of 10 years. Fully 1/3 of the food that we consume is produced by bee pollination. So you can imagine we would lose hundreds of fruits, some vegetables, and it would have a huge impact on worldwide food availability. Prices would skyrocket for products like almonds, oranges, these basic things that people tend to grow relatively easily and consume readily. They're so dependent on bees that agricultural industry would grind to a halt in some areas. It would be devastating.
The team returns to the canal to locate the female sloth. The signal from its radio collar will guide the search and make it easier to recapture her.
On BCI, I worked on the behavior of three-toed sloths, looking at which plants they ate and how much they moved over the course of 2 years. So here's where we caught her before, and you can hear she's somewhere nearby. So that's the ping of her radio collar. But it's not all that strong of a signal. So what we can do is kind of do a 360 spin. Ooh, it's a lot louder.
On the island?
You can hear the difference in the signal intensity. So it sounds like our sloth actually might have left the one island and swam to one of these little islands right here, which is pretty cool.
Are they good swimmers?
They're actually really good swimmers, believe it or not. They swim much better than they walk. So a lot of times people see sloths swimming across the Panama Canal. So pretty exciting that our sloth actually sounds like she swam. The results of the big study is that actually that sloths move a lot more than we thought. They're not just sedentary creatures that stay in the same tree. We found that some sloths actually travel hundreds of meters a day, while others will just sit in the same tree for 4 or 5 days and then maybe move 2 trees over. So their movement is actually very different based on which individual it is. right up there. I think I might see her actually. I think she's straight above me. Right up there. Wow.
Where's the face?
Her face, she's actually kind of sitting like this, upright. Okay.
So this time, Bryson climbs up the tree. He has no harness, no rope. I tell you, he's a real monkey. It's amazing.
Hi, John. Thank you. Okay, I got her.
Bryson uses a long pole to capture the sloth, which tries to escape.
Okay. There we go. There we go.
Wow. Nice.
I need a pole. Right like that. All right.
Wow, is it a girl?
Yep, so this is our girl.
Yeah. Wow.
Attack.
I was going to say.
Oh yeah, they will. They'll
They
pinch
will
you.
attack, huh?
It's such a small creature, but still equipped with pretty sharp claws. I still have some souvenirs from my contact with sloths.
Well, they spend their whole life, in the trees,
Yeah.
so it actually takes energy to open their claws. They can keep them closed with no energy, so
Oh,
they don't
yeah.
expend any energy hanging.
Do they bite?
No, they don't really bite, but they'll definitely try to claw you. Especially mothers with their young, they'll be real defensive of the babies. But she's pretty calm. She's pretty chill.
She's lovely. She's so sweet.
It's a really great animal to work with because you can hold them without sedating them. And so for me, it's so special to be able to get to actually hold the animal that I work with a lot.
Yeah.
So I get to develop a relationship with them. Whereas a lot of animals like monkeys or something, you get to touch them once when you initially catch them, and then you rarely ever see them again. 3.1 kilograms? Nice. So she has gained weight since we last saw her.
Oh, great.
So she's been eating.
Here you come.
The female can now regain her freedom. In her own way, she is contributing to the conservation of her species by allowing Bryson to study her movements. The brown-throated sloth is not an endangered species. In fact, it is the most abundant of all sloth species. But other species of sloth are not so lucky. The team heads to the small island of Escudo de Veraguas, where Bryson is studying the pygmy sloth. Many scientists consider it the rarest mammal on the planet.
But I'm really the only person in the world looking at sleep in wild animals in their natural environment. And the first thing we found out is looking at sloths. Sloths in captivity sleep like 15, 16 hours a day, and sloths in the wild sleep 9. So there's this huge difference just in one species that we looked at, and that's the first thing we ever did. So I'm trying to unlock the mysteries of sleep in wild animals in their natural habitat. We arrived at Escudo last night at about midnight and set anchor, and then we woke up this morning, and it's been really nice all morning. And we're gonna go out to the island probably in the next hour or so and go see if we can re-find some of the pygmy sloths that I have radio collars on.
Bryson and his assistant Sebastian have installed radio collars on 10 pygmy sloths. Now they need to find the animals again.
The sloths that I put radio collars on are all on that side of the island right over here. And to get there, we gotta go around the island this way, through the channel and into the mangroves.
Boat driver, ready?
I'm ready when you're all ready.
Let's go. Let's go.
Okay.
We don't actually know how many pygmy sloths there are, but estimates vary from as small as 63 to maybe a few hundred. And these pygmy sloths have been cut off from the mainland for almost 9,000 years. And in that time, they developed a very small body size, so they're about 40% smaller than the mainland sloths. And it just goes to show you how quickly evolution can happen in species.
Many scientists believe that the pygmy sloths on Escudo de Veraguas Island live only in the mangrove forests, the highly productive marine ecosystem that flourishes in the intertidal zone.
Mangrove forests grow between high tides and low tides on the coast, and that is where Bryson has installed tracking collars.
Just look straight in the middle of these branches. Straight in there's like a dark clump. It's on the back side of the branch. Yeah, it's right up there.
Really small.
You can see his face just looking at us.
He's looking at us. Ah.
Yeah. This is the same spot where I caught a sloth last month. So this could be her. But I can't see a radio collar, so I'm not sure.
But it's not so tiny.
No, they're actually, I mean, they can be kind of big, but they are definitely smaller than the mainland sloths. And their skulls are actually much smaller and have different forms on the top of the skull. So because it's such a different developmental size in the skulls, they're actually considered to be a different species. You know, they're marooned out here on this island. They have nowhere else to go. And if they're only living in just the mangroves, that's a tiny habitat for the whole species. And right now, actually, a lot of times people cut down mangroves for charcoal, and that makes their habitat much smaller. So it's very difficult because they have such a small habitat to begin with. And every time they lose a little bit of habitat, it means less area for them to live. Really, every trunk counts in these mangroves because the pygmy sloths really do rely on them. For me, it's so exciting to be able to work with a brand new species because most people never get to do that in their lifetime. And this sloth was just discovered 10 years ago. We're just trying to find out the basic science of the species. I mean, we don't even know how long they live. We really don't know anything about them. And so working out here right now, the main goal is just to understand a little bit more about their natural history and their life. Right now, I'm going to try to climb up a little bit and bring him or her down and just do a visual inspection to see how big it is, and also if it has a radio collar. And if not, we'll just let it go. There we go. And if you grab him, just like a baby doll from the back.
Yeah. Okay. Like a baby.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, you have to baby. Remember. So that's a male, right?
This is a male sloth because it has this patch right here, and it actually has an oil on it that smells kind of sweet. And that's an attractant for female sloths. So they can smell that oil from a long ways away, and they know it's a male sloth.
We found ourselves in an area of the island where Bryson insisted we go to greet a family of local fishermen, Nobe Aboriginals, I think. They're Aboriginal people who have been living on the island for generations and have really developed a kind of harmony with nature. They live mainly from fishing. They manage to sell a little, some fish, a few lobsters. But it's marvelous. When we arrived, it was the children who came to greet us. That's often the case. They were playing on the beach, and slowly we joined in. We spent hours. Often, contact between scientists and local communities is difficult enough, but there I found it really interesting because often it's the children who actually introduce us to the adults. And then every time you can create a contact between scientists and local communities, I think it's really important. It was really a beautiful moment. Yes, a lovely moment.
Look, it's eating. There's a sloth right there. It's a female. Yeah, she's eating a leaf. She's got it right in her mouth. Oh, she's got a baby. Let's see if we're real quiet. Maybe we won't scare her. Ooh, she got my shirt. Hey, come here. Oh. Look at her. She is beautiful. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful animal. And look, she doesn't have a radio collar, so this is a new sloth with a baby.
That's a good thing to, see a baby. If there's less than 100, that's good news.
Yeah, so that's one more for the population at least. Yeah. And a baby this size is probably about 9 months old, I'd say. So that's a pretty big baby. Oh, yeah. He's just holding on to her. All right, let's let her go eat some more. She looks hungry. Come back over here, mommy. Come on. Right here. Let's see, she was right on this one. Let's see. All right. It's one of the rarest mammals on Earth, and there's 2 of them right there.
What a privilege to be here.
Part of my research in working with pygmy sloths is to understand more about their life requirements, how long they live, and what parts of the island they really are using. So what I did is went out and caught 10 pygmy sloths, put the radio collars on them, and let them go back in their trees. And then we went out there to re-catch them and re-find them to see where they've gone in the past few months. And what I really wanted to find is that they weren't just using the mangrove patches, that they were actually using the rest of the island, because there's only about 10 hectares of mangroves on the island, but the whole island is 3.5 square kilometers. So that's a very small patch of mangroves. So that boop, boop, boop. That's Leo.
Leo.
So he's back over this way. Oh,
Okay.
there he is.
Oh, yeah. Right there.
Yeah, look at him, just kind of, he's laying right on his back. They expose their bellies like that and kind of warm themselves up. Look at him just swinging around in the tree.
In the mangroves again.
Yeah, he's still in the mangrove, so he hasn't really gone anywhere in the past month or so. When I caught him originally and put the collar on him, he was maybe 10 meters over that way.
Oh, yeah.
So he's not moving very much.
What's there?
Another sloth.
Yeah.
Wow. And like 5 meters away.
Looks like a male, eh?
Yep. You can see the orange on his back right there?
Yeah.
He's also a male. So Leo maybe has some competition next to him.
Yeah. Let's see if we can find some more.
And I've got 9 more to go.
Yeah.
The team traveled the territory, focusing its research near mangrove forests. In the days that followed, Bryson was able to find 9 of the 10 pygmy sloths equipped with radio collars. But despite searching for days, one was still missing, which worried Bryson.
When you have a total population estimated at about 60 individuals, of course, each animal counts. We really covered the area. We looked everywhere, but to no avail.
I can't tell which way the sound's coming from. It seems to be all over the place. I wonder, it could be bouncing off of the water or the mangroves.
Yeah.
I don't know. And there's one signal that we just can't find. I don't know. Maybe with your guys' help, we can go find it.
Yeah. We should take the Zodiac. It's going to be easier.
Before leaving, Bryson wanted to speak with local families to get some help in their search. Sebastian, his assistant, knows the people of the island very well.
Está cerquita, así ahora los chiquillos se asustan. Por acá llega, hay mucho sol. Ellos vienen, sí.
What she says that she had a well back there, and the sloth would come around because these are clean animals. They come down to the well to poop in the well. She thinks that the one that live in a mangrove, they live in a mangrove, but there is a lot more right behind in the jungle here.
So let's check in the forest for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Muchas gracias.
What an amazing revelation. According to these families, pygmy sloths can also be found in the interior of the island in the rainforest, so their distribution is not limited only to mangroves. Of course, this information is crucial for our search for the missing sloth, but it could also become essential for science itself.
So I'm marking the locations of the ones that I found so far, and number 5 is the one that I just don't know where he went. Hopefully we can find him. So Sebastian, let's check this cove right here, the Horseshoe Cove. It sounds like he might be right over here. Oh. All right, I got him on the 900 frequency, so he must be straight back that way.
Okay, guys, we're gonna have to tie the boat. Yep.
Good for it, Sebastian. All right.
Thank you.
The signal that we were following with the radio collar led us into the heart of the island, deep into the rainforest. It was quite something. Oh yes, it was terrible. We sank deep into the mud. You could almost think the mud was alive. There were all sorts of insects that seemed to enjoy feasting on our flesh. I don't think wearing shorts was a very good idea, to be sure.
Sounds like it's just over this way, I think. I think she's right up here. Yeah, you could just see her fur right up there.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to get a closer look at her and just see how she looks and do a physical examination. It's been 6 weeks since I last saw her.
Hey, Bryson, watch out, man. Careful. Find it break, man.
Hey, buddy. Okay. Ready? Coming to you. Sweet.
Great.
Whew. Victoria. Hey. Whoa, you're looking big. Oh, man. She looks great. Look at her. She looks very healthy.
So she makes quite a distance from the mangrove forest to here.
Yeah, she moved quite a distance, actually, over 800 feet in the past couple weeks, which for a sloth, that's a big distance. When I first caught her, she was in the top of a very large mangrove tree, and now she's spending her time in this beautiful tropical forest on the interior of the island. So it's hard to say which she likes better.
Yeah.
But here, she definitely has a wider variety of plants to eat. Yeah. Kind of like going to an all-you-can-eat buffet with lots of different things to choose from. One thing I think that this shows is that even though the mangroves are being cut, it may not be as big of a risk for the pygmy sloths, because if they're able to eat other things in the forest, at least they have other food sources besides just the mangroves.
What is the size of the island?
The island is 3.5 square kilometers. And only, I think, 10 hectares of the entire island is mangroves. The rest is this type of tropical forest. So they estimated 63 sloths being in this 10 hectares. So that would be something like 6 sloths per hectare. The island is 3.5 square kilometers. That's 350 hectares. That's something like 1,800 sloths, potentially, if it's the same density in the mangroves as in the forest. So it could be that actually the pygmy sloth is not as rare as we thought. Still only on this one island, but maybe more numbers, which is good.
What's the next step now?
The next step would be trying to figure out how big the population is in the forest and actually doing an expedition out here in the middle of the island. But finding them is very difficult. Even if you spend weeks out here, I think you might not have an accurate idea of just how many sloths there are.
Ready to go?
All right, Victoria.
Back to home, sweet home.
She's going her own way.
She knows where she's going.
She knows exactly where she's going.
Yeah.
It was knowledge of the territory by the local people that really guided Bryson on his quest, and it opened a new avenue for research. This is interesting because if the population of pygmy sloths of Escudo de Veraguas covers the whole of the island, well, maybe we will be obliged to review the status of the species, and this is great news. And good news about the environment is really needed.
L'extraordinaire biodiversité de nos océans s'offre en spectacle à chaque plongée. Nous avons la chance, au cours de cette mission, de parcourir la planète pour aller vérifier l'état de cette biodiversité et apprécier toute sa beauté. Mais nous constatons aussi la grande fragilité de l'équilibre entre les espèces. Ce que la nature a mis des millions d'années à peaufiner, à adapter, nous sommes malheureusement en train de le détruire rapidement. Nous avons mis le cap sur l'île Coco, une île rendue célèbre par ses légendes de pirates. On dit que des trésors dérobés aux bateaux espagnols y seraient enfouis quelque part. C'est pourquoi on l'appelle d'ailleurs l'île au trésor. Mais pour les scientifiques, le véritable trésor se trouve probablement dans cette biodiversité marine exceptionnelle. La puissance dans les nageoires d'une tortue verte, c'est vraiment quelque chose de très impressionnant. En fait, les tortues vertes sont d'excellentes nageuses et donc leur anatomie a évolué pour créer une masse musculaire très importante au niveau des articulations, ce qui rend évidemment notre opération de capture plutôt périlleuse. Une fois à bord de l'embarcation pneumatique, la tortue a pu être transportée jusqu'au Sedna 4 où l'attendait toute une équipe de biologistes. Nous avons une sorte d'ascenseur spécial pour les animaux de grande taille et donc cette tortue a pu être descendue jusqu'à l'atelier du Sedna où les biologistes l'attendaient pour installer les différents émetteurs. Pour ce voyage à l'île Coco, nous avons invité deux grands spécialistes des tortues, deux sommités qui travaillent régulièrement dans ce secteur du Pacifique. Ces deux biologistes sont devenus activistes par la force des choses, car ils croient véritablement que c'est par l'action concrète, sur le terrain, qu'on peut faire changer les choses.
Oh, let me see. Is there any 4062 there? No. See, now it's only 181. Just to verify. Super verify.
1074974.
Okay. Okay, we hold it here.
Okay, so take the measurements and then you do the tagging and I'll tag her. And you can tag her and I'll...
Yeah.
Okay, so hold her there, Cheapo.
Okay.
Okay, put this right there where the skin starts and the shell ends, or like right there, okay.
74 and a half.
Yeah, 74 and a half, yeah, let's say 74 and a half. And width?
What do you got?
72.
72. This is the first time we've caught this turtle. Hasn't been marked before. We're putting a tag on now, permanent tag. Okay.
Check the lock.
Check. Perfect. PE 312.
Where are you going to do it?
Same place. Wait. Okay, it's locked. PE 313.
This is an acoustic tag, and these are the same tags we use for the sharks. And since we already have a system of listening stations around the island for the sharks, then we use the same system for the turtles. Okay. Okay. We've had turtles with the tag on for over a year, sometimes a few months. And so sometimes it seems like they're pretty permanently in there with cables and everything, but they do fall off.
In the old days of sailors, couldn't keep fresh meat on board for very long, so they would stop at islands like this, grab turtles, put them on their back, and they could last for months. Come down once a week, just pour some water on it to keep it from drying out, and then they could use the meat as they needed. So turtles played a major role in the exploration of the world.
Okay.
The green turtles of the Caribbean that people are more familiar with are purely vegetarians. They eat turtle grass, which is an algae. So they grow very slowly. This satellite transmitter will send a signal up to a satellite up in space, and then that will send the signal to my computer, and I'll know right where this turtle is every day. We're trying to understand what the migration routes are. So when this turtle's here at Cocos Island, it's protected because there's a 12 nautical mile no fishing zone. As soon as it swims out of that, we don't know. It could get caught on a fishing line and be killed. So our goal is to understand where these turtles go and then create marine protected swimways. So if they're swimming to Galapagos, we want to connect their swimways. We want to understand their migration routes and be able to protect them by closing fishing areas. So as you're doing that, yeah, we want to try to keep it kind of as hydrodynamic as we can. We've had turtles go as far as Panama. We've had turtles go to Costa Rica. We've had turtles go to Costa Rica and then swim up the shore all the way to El Salvador and then head back out to sea. And a lot of our turtles like it in Cocos and stay right around here.
The juveniles, or the young ones, they definitely stay here for a number of years. For instance, we have turtles that we tagged here 2.5 years ago, and they're still there in Dirty Rock, for instance. So the young turtles live here, and the adults just swing by, and then they take off and continue their migration.
There are different policies to protect turtles, for instance, special hooks, circle hooks, which they're less likely to swallow. But the best way is to protect the ecosystem, protect the habitat that they need to live. So if we can close those areas to fishing, then we'll have turtles for our kids to see and our grandkids.
Après quelques heures de travail, notre invité peut maintenant retourner à la mer. Randall et Todd ont vérifié le bon fonctionnement des émetteurs et cette tortue verte du Pacifique peut maintenant recouvrer sa liberté.
Now we have to be careful with the satellite transmitter. So let's do the right back here. Oh, you got the hook? Okay. Careful with the satellite transmitter. Okay. I'm basically, yes, in love with turtles. All right. Thank you.
Thanks to you. Je pense qu'on peut dire mission accomplie. Les données maintenant qui seront recueillies par cet émetteur satellite vont permettre de mieux connaître les déplacements de cette tortue verte et permettront peut-être un jour d'établir des corridors de protection, des zones bien définies où la pêche sera interdite. Mais il faut bien sûr encore beaucoup de campagnes de sensibilisation parce qu'il reste beaucoup de travail à faire avant que ces mesures, pourtant essentielles, se réalisent. Les plages constituent des habitats essentiels pour les tortues marines. Les tortues viennent y pondre leurs œufs depuis des millions d'années et c'est ce qui garantit en quelque sorte la survie des différentes espèces de tortues sur notre planète. Pas de plage, pas de tortues marines, c'est aussi simple que ça. Mais ces plages se sont beaucoup transformées au cours des dernières années depuis qu'une espèce a connu un boom démographique exceptionnel, l'humanité. Non seulement nous utilisons et transformons ces plages pour nos loisirs, mais le développement immobilier réduit sans cesse ces habitats essentiels pour les tortues. C'est intéressant parce qu'une tortue va revenir pondre ses œufs exactement au même endroit là où elle a vu le jour il y a très longtemps. Elle va revenir évidemment quand elle aura atteint sa maturité sexuelle, ce qui peut prendre 15, 20, 30 ou même 40 ans chez certaines espèces. Après toutes ces années, lorsque les tortues reviennent, elles vont plutôt retrouver des plages qui sont souvent peuplées avec des maisons, des lumières qui les désorientent complètement la nuit ou des terrasses d'hôtels aménagées. C'est donc pas facile pour une tortue de venir pondre ses œufs maintenant en toute sécurité.
¿Usted es de aquí?
De nosotros.
¿Qué es lo que representan las bolas para usted?
Ay, no sé, algo lindo que yo siento. Algo lindo que a mí me nace y que yo no quisiera que se desapareciera. Yo, digamos, cuando yo me crié chiquilla, yo me recuerdo que mi papá los llevaba a la playa. Decía, vamos a la playa a sacar huevos.
¿Y era normal?
Pero a comer.
¿Era normal?
Sí, para comer, no para negocio.
Era dentro de la cultura.
Sí.
¿Y cómo era la situación en esa época con las baulas?
Ay, no, era algo lindo, porque eran baulas en cantidad. Salían por noche, era una cosa lindísima. Los biólogos decían que eso iba a ir bajando. Cada temporada ellos hablaban eso, pero decía yo, qué mentira, porque hay bastante baula. Y sí lo hizo, sí lo fue. Y que ellos decían que había que cuidarlas porque las baulas se iban a ir.
¿Listos? Vamos. Fueron años difíciles para las personas, muy difíciles. No había muchas fuentes de trabajo y la gente se dedicaba a la agricultura, ganadería, trabajar en los campos, pesca, y el dinero que ganaban no era mucho. Entonces había que hacer algo extra para ayudar a la familia, al sustento de las familias. Y un dinero fácil era venir a coger los huevos de las tortugas, ya que eran bien remunerados, bien pagados. Yo fui parte de esa gente. Ponías una estaca, pedazo de madera, de aquí, caminabas 50, 100 metros, o si podías más, ponías más lejos. Entonces todas las tortugas que venían en ese pedazo eran tuyas. Antes venían 200, 300, hasta 400 tal vez en una noche. Ahora llegan en este tiempo, en este momento, 1, 2, 3, máximo ha sido 5. Entonces la gente venía, esperaban que estuviera lista, cogían los huevos, sacaban, metían dentro de un saco. El comprahuevo te esperaba en la calle, en la salida, con un carro de cajón. Entonces en una noche podía sacar 100 docenas, 120 docenas, el que se ponía en una parte mejor. Y pagaban a 400 colones, si más no recuerdo, 500 o 600 colones la docena. Entonces, saca la cuenta, 100 docenas a 400. Buen dinero.
On vient de rencontrer 2 policiers Et évidemment, j'ai pris le temps de leur demander c'est quoi la réalité policière. Et évidemment, ça ne tentait pas de le faire devant la caméra, mais qu'est-ce qu'ils m'ont dit clairement, c'est qu'il y a des braconniers, surtout dans les secteurs de l'autre côté de la baie, et les gens vendent leurs œufs à travers, la couverture d'Ostinal. Ostinal, c'est un endroit à peu près à 2 heures d'ici où il y a des arrivadas énormes de tortues. Et c'est comme si, lui il me l'a avoué, c'est comme si c'était le blanchiment des œufs à Ostinal. Donc le fait que tout le monde dit que les œufs viennent d'Ostinal, donc on peut les vendre. Il me racontait même qu'il y avait des bars où pour $1, on peut avoir une super bière froide avec un magnifique coco, des tortues, avec un peu de tabasco. On boit ça, puis ça a l'air que c'est l'extase. Donc, dans la communauté, il y a encore une relation particulière avec les œufs.
Bueno, esta noche los voy a llevar a una de las playas que yo creo que es más importante para la anidación de tortugas negras en nuestro país, al menos. Se llama Nombre de Jesús. Está a escasos, es una zona boscosa, realmente muy agradable. No hay construcciones en estos momentos y realmente es un sitio muy apto para la anidación de estas especies. Crear o conservar especies que están en peligro de extinción como estas requiere un compromiso de todos. Hay grandes intereses, todos entendemos eso, el interés científico, el interés de las comunidades, el interés de los desarrolladores, el interés de los pescadores. Sin embargo, es importante lograr ese objetivo común que nos pueda potenciar ese esfuerzo de conservación. Otro de los actores claves importantes que de alguna manera ha ayudado.
¿Es el único acceso para ir a la playa?
En realidad por vehículo sí tenemos este único acceso, sin embargo hay una posibilidad de ingresar vía caminando, pero hay que atravesar una montaña que de verdad se complica un poco el acceso.
Está difícil, ¿eh?
Tal vez por el centro de las rocas.
Y por ahí, sí. con una rueda por aquí y el otro por acá.
¿Listo? Sí. Perfecto. Muy bueno. Nuestro país tiene áreas protegidas y áreas no protegidas, específicamente este sitio que es un área de anidación importante en estos momentos. Estamos haciendo todo un esfuerzo de conservación para lograr de alguna manera crear alguna categoría de manejo en esta área y continuar con la protección de esta especie. Bueno, cada noche que llegamos a la playa, nuestro grupo se organiza. Una de las cosas que hacemos cuando entramos a la playa es que todo el grupo se reúne y camina toda la playa juntos. La idea es saber cómo está el comportamiento de la situación, si hay gente en playa, no hay, si hay tortugas. Entonces la idea es tener un momento de tranquilidad todos para ver la situación. Una vez que encontremos un rastro, nos detenemos en ese sitio, verificamos qué está haciendo la tortuga e inmediatamente nos ordenamos para trabajar todos juntos.
Y lo que me explicabas que éramos varios por la cuestión de los hueveros.
La idea es que cuando entramos en grupo es precisamente para que si hay gente que le gusta sacar los huevos, viene un montón de gente que son protectores de tortugas, entonces no es solo una o dos personas, si son 3, 4, 5 que están respaldados todos juntos. No, sí, ya vi.
Esas luces en el fondo que
creemos que pueden ser hueveros. Entonces a partir de ahora vamos a manejarnos con más cautela.
Nous avons décidé de profiter de la nuit, nous aussi, pour assister au grand spectacle de la ponte des tortues vertes. Il est plutôt déconseillé de s'aventurer seul sur les plages dans certains secteurs du Costa Rica. Les braconniers sont encore très actifs et nous avons donc décidé d'accompagner l'équipe de biologistes du Parc national de Las Bolas dans leur effort de conservation des sites de ponte. Il faut le dire, dans certains secteurs du Costa Rica, ça joue dur. Depuis quelques années, le trafic de drogue est maintenant associé au trafic des œufs de tortue. Un braconnier peut toucher jusqu'à 300 $ la nuit simplement en revendant ses œufs de tortue sur le marché noir, des œufs qui se détaillent à environ 1 $ l'unité. En 2012, par exemple, un groupe de braconniers lourdement armés s'est introduit dans une crèche, une place où on recueille des œufs de tortue jusqu'à leur maturité. Ces œufs de tortue sont ramassés sur les plages par des bénévoles. Bien, ces bénévoles ont été ligotés et les braconniers se sont emparés de plus de 1500 œufs de tortue. Alors, le message est clair. Les trafiquants, comme les braconniers, ne veulent pas voir de protecteurs de tortues sur leurs plages.
Okay, lo que vamos a medir primero es el largo del caparazón y posteriormente el ancho del caparazón. La idea es que usted vaya al otro lado y revise si hay una marca metálica o una identificación. ¿Okay? Y el número de identificación se lo dicta a ella para que ella pueda escribirlo en la hoja. Okay.
LO628.
Listo. Escriba ahí.
¿Cuánto?
Así, sí.
Oh, wow. ¿Qué es lo que voy a hacer? Voy a hacer esto para poderlo ubicar. Ahorita es complicado porque hay muchas raíces.
¿Tiene que ir?
No, está ahí. Que anda hoy en playa. Entonces, hoy vamos a tomar la decisión de remover los huevos o reubicar estos huevos a otro sitio aquí en la misma playa. Entonces, posiblemente vayan a ver cuando los saquemos y los reubiquemos. Normalmente, si fuese un área protegida, entonces los niños quedan in situ. Entonces, tenemos protección del sitio 24 horas. Pero en este momento no tenemos posibilidad de proteger la playa 24 horas. Entonces nos vemos obligados a mover los huevos a otro sitio.
¿Cuántos hay?
Por el momento, 56.
¿Cuánto tiempo? ¿10 minutos más o menos se paran?
Ella puede durar 15 minutos, entre 10 y 15 minutos poniendo huevos.
Ahí sigue poniendo. Como las baulas tienen, ella tiene el momento que está poniendo los huevos, tiene un momento de trance, ¿sí? Como las hormonas, como las baulas o es diferente.
Sí, de hecho todas las tortugas entran en un proceso de trance para mover sus músculos y poder empezar a expulsar los huevos.
Okay.
Por esa razón, cuando ella termina, hay que irse porque entonces ya ella empieza a lanzar.
No me ha tuchado.
oui, c'est incroyable de voir qu'il fait tout ce travail, ça fait une demi-heure qu'il prépare tout, là, elle le referme tout avec autant d'attention, puis là, les œufs sont même pas là. Elle ne sait même pas que ces œufs sont même pas là.
Ahora lo que vamos a hacer es que vamos a reubicar los huevos a un sitio seguro en la misma playa. Nuestros muchachos en estos momentos están haciendo el hueco para ubicarlos en este sitio que consideramos que es bastante seguro.
¿Cuántos metros va a ser esto?
La idea es que la profundidad sea similar a la profundidad del hueco que excavó la tortuga. Entonces estamos hablando de 45 a 50 centímetros. En estos momentos lo que Luis va a hacer es, una vez que ya lleguemos a la profundidad adecuada, vamos a moverlos en el sitio.
Ce qui est fantastique, c'est que pendant des générations, ces jeunes-là auraient normalement appris à devenir braconniers. Là, c'est la nouvelle génération. Et avec le changement de mentalité, tu vois, c'est tout à fait l'inverse. C'est les jeunes qui prennent les choses en main et qui essaient de sauvegarder les tortues. C'est pas mal.
Y posteriormente los vamos a ubicar con una plaquita de aluminio que nos permite a nosotros identificar en los próximos 45 días, que es cuando se da la exhumación de los neonatos. Ahora lo que vamos a hacer es que vamos a echar arena en el nido y Luis lo que va a hacer es que lo va a compactar. Pues la idea es compactar lo más que se pueda para que los huevos queden seguros en el sitio. Y posteriormente vamos a marcarlo con respecto al mojón que está allá.
If the poacher find the little stick.
Ahora lo que hacemos es que esta marca la vamos a enterrar. La vamos a poner sobre arena. Entonces la idea es que la marca es simple y sencillamente para que cuando lo encontremos podamos hacer relación de ese nido con esta hoja. Entonces así yo sé exactamente cuál tortuga fue la que puso estos huevos y cómo es el éxito de eclosión de esta tortuga con respecto a este nido y todos sus nidos.
Sobre estos 82, ¿cuántos van a ir al agua?
Los éxitos de eclosión, por ejemplo, la temporada anterior anduvo entre un 80 y un 90%.
C'est formidable de voir l'implication des jeunes bénévoles pour la sauvegarde des tortues. Leur travail sur les plages va permettre de sauver un grand nombre de tortues, certes, mais il va surtout servir au changement des mentalités. Ce changement, il est essentiel puisqu'on veut que la nouvelle génération modifie ses habitudes de consommation et condamne le braconnage. Je pense que cette nouvelle génération sera prête à tout mettre en œuvre pour sauver ces espèces menacées d'extinction.
Quedan muy pocas personas que se dedican al saqueo de huevos.
¿Qué es lo que cambió?
La mentalidad de las personas y el que Tamarindo haya crecido en cuanto a zona turística, porque hay más fuentes de empleo.
¿Y tú qué haces ahora?
Ahora trabajo como guía turístico. Después pasamos a ser promotores turísticos, de los cuales nos enseñaron un poco sobre biología de la tortuga.
La présence des braconniers a diminué sur les plages dans le secteur de Guanacaste, surtout depuis la création du parc national de Las Bolas. Aujourd'hui, les touristes viennent d'un peu partout pour assister au grand spectacle de la ponte des tortues. Mais le braconnage demeure un enjeu important dans certains secteurs du Costa Rica. et le trafic illégal des œufs menacent encore aujourd'hui la survie des espèces. Il est essentiel de poursuivre le travail d'éducation si nous voulons sauver ces espèces menacées d'extinction.
Entonces el objetivo es precisamente mantener la población que anida en el sitio. Y para mantener la población que anida en el sitio necesitamos que esos huevos se reproduzcan en el sitio. Y creemos que esfuerzos como los que estamos desarrollando en este momento son sumamente importantes si realmente queremos conservar especies tan importantes y hermosas como estas.
¿Cómo lo ve para el futuro?
Yo creo que hay un compromiso de parte nuestra muy fuerte. Estamos convencidos y la esperanza es poder recuperar estas poblaciones. Claro, pero eso ha sido un proceso de mucho tiempo, de educación de niños, de educación de gente y de compromiso. Y creo que el país, Costa Rica, cada vez adquiere más conciencia ambiental, más compromiso, hay más gente involucrada con eso. Y ahora no solo organizaciones, sino que las mismas comunidades se están involucrando en proteger estos recursos. Y lo más importante es que se van empoderando de esto y lo hacen propio. Yo creo que el hecho de que todas las noches trasnochemos o estemos trabajando hasta 6 o 7 horas logrando salvar todo nido es sumamente importante. Yo sé que tal vez este esfuerzo de conservación no lo veamos en el corto plazo y posiblemente nuestra generación no vea sus resultados y que los vayamos a ver en el largo plazo, pero posiblemente sean nuestros hijos y los veamos en los próximos 20 o 30 años y decimos, bueno, aquellos que trabajaron al principio tuvieron la visión y no desmayaron para conservar, ahora tenemos que continuar con...
Bueno.
¿Vamos a dormir?
Vamos a dormir.
Vamos a dormir.
Vamos.
Por favor.
It's an animal which has a flexible shell because it's not hard bone. It's got little bones with cartilage in between. It's got a leathery shell, that's where it gets its name, a skin like a dolphin on the shell and on the flippers. It has a pink spot on the middle of its head, which is where the pineal gland is. It has some signaling for hormones. The skull's only half as thick there. They can dive a mile deep like a whale, so the shell collapses when they do that, gets compressed. And they only eat jellyfish, so they must be our friend. We don't like jellyfish.
She looks to be about 145 centimeters long, probably around 18 to 20 years of age, and she's finished nesting. She's now in the process of early bearing, but you can see how delicately she's using her hands to pat the sand down and to pack it so that the eggs are in a nice location, and then she will start to camouflage and cover all around here.
When we came here, the number of turtles nesting per year was 1,500. And then it declined exponentially, so by big steps. To the present time, there's about maybe 50 nesting a year. But it's bottomed out the last 3 or 4 years, so we think that we're about due for a comeback. The new turtles that we see now are as a result of these students and volunteers who are on this beach for 20 years. And so, yeah, those are our turtles who are coming back.
You have an opportunity to see a dinosaur come out of the ocean and do all these very intricate behaviors. And I don't think there's anybody who ever walks away from this beach after seeing this experience that hasn't been awed.
The first time we came on the beaches here, Frank Palladino had to pay the local poacher for permission to work on a turtle after he took the eggs. Then he was okay if we studied the physiology of the turtle. After the park was founded and we got more involved and Frank taught the people English and we taught them some biology, now those poachers all became guides, ecotourism guides, so they make more money, cleaner. Now at this point their children are the guides.
Right now, this is a national park. There's national park guards. We have very good protection. There's an occasional poacher, which is usually a stranger who's come into town, and a lot of times they're Nicaraguans that come down here to work on construction of homes and so on, and they want to make some quick money so they can catch a bus and go back home and visit their family. But for the most part, the local people are no longer the poachers. As a matter of fact, whereas before they were against the park, it is the local people who are the strongest supporters of the park.
When we first came here, the people used to be poachers. They hated us. They didn't like us in the local village. Now we're friends. Our students are friends with the young people. I think it made a big difference. So the people see that these turtles are a benefit to them. I think it's very important.
Le travail acharné de Frank Palladino, James Potilla et des nombreux bénévoles est vraiment inspirant et prouve que les mentalités peuvent être changées. Mais il reste encore beaucoup de travail à faire dans certains secteurs du Costa Rica. En 2013, par exemple, un jeune étudiant en biologie de 26 ans, Hero Mora Sandoval, a été enlevé avec 4 autres patrouilleurs sur une des plages du Costa Rica. Les trafiquants de drogue et les braconniers en ont assez de ces campagnes de sauvegarde des tortues. Ils veulent retrouver leur plage. Ce soir-là, le jeune biologiste a été ligoté, battu, et on l'a retrouvé avec une balle dans la tête. Hero Mora Sandoval est mort simplement pour avoir voulu sauver une espèce menacée d'extinction. Cette histoire tragique a fait le tour du monde et les groupes environnementaux ont préparé la riposte. Une récompense est maintenant offerte pour trouver les coupables et le gouvernement du Costa Rica a promis une enquête. La sauvegarde des tortues et la protection des plages passent bien souvent par le travail de passionnés, des bénévoles qui viennent d'un peu partout sur la planète pour participer aux efforts de protection des tortues. Malheureusement, l'intimidation et la violence sont souvent les armes des braconniers, et ça, peu importe où on se trouve dans le monde. Il faut continuer de valoriser les efforts de protection, encourager la présence de bénévoles sur les plages et tout mettre en œuvre pour initier les changements de mentalité qui constituent probablement le seul véritable espoir pour demain.